straight to a brand new kit.
Welcome back, eSIM Studios Podcast Livestream, episode number 201. My name is Taylor Bell. Let me check the volume. There we go. Let me check the volume. Volume seems to be fine. Welcome back. I took a little break, so episode number 201, we will get into the tech news for today. Took, I think, about a week off, which normally you will never see me do. Kind of got, to be completely honest with you, I kind of got burned out. So, just got burned out. Not from, I guess from streaming. I got a lot of stuff going on in the background, and there were days within this past 7 days that I was trying to stream. I think when day 2 or 3 hit where I didn't stream, I was like, God damn it, I gotta jump back on. And quite frankly, couldn't find the time. So I'm building out a brand new website. That's taken up a lot of my time. It was just a number of things, right? So I kind of got burned out mentally, to be quite honest with you. And I had a bunch of stuff going on in the background. And look, I'm getting some money from this YouTube channel, but definitely not getting rich. So I actually got a deposit today, so it's all good. But which reminded me, hey, you need to jump back on. So I was like, well, shit, I guess I need to get back on. But I got a bunch of stuff going on personally in my personal life and business-wise that I'm trying to get back on track with. So I do apologize. I'm going to make this one a quick one. I do have to go pick up a custom PC build before the store closes. So we'll make this a quick one, probably about 30 minutes, which gives us just enough time to jump into the tech news for the day. So I want to thank everybody for showing up and everybody's support. I know there are a few people that checked in on me and messaged me and said, and were like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? And I do apologize. I don't even think I responded. So if that was you, I do apologize. I just been super busy and was just burned out, honestly. So it was just a combination of things, but I think I was on a pretty good streak there. Out of the 200 episodes I've done of this total podcast, I think I only missed maybe a handful of days, maybe 5 or 6 days out of the 200. And I hit 200 and took a week off. So it is what it is. And like every live stream, there goes the cat. So never mind the little kitty. Let's get into what we got going on. But I do appreciate everybody's support. It does mean a lot. I'm I'm good. I just this is one of those times where I get burned out, and then it's got a couple of things in the background going on that are a little more important than talking about tech. But we are back today. So with the release of the iPhone 16 series, what do we got going on? iPhone 16. So ours is on back order. I do have one in-house, but it's not the one I'm using. I was able to steal it for a few minutes and do some case reviews that I'm going to post. Did a screen protector install that I will post. But my personal one that I'm going to use is on back order. So I'm going to have to wait another week or two for that to come in. But there is some news in regards to iPhone 16 Pros. So apparently, there are some people that are having some touch screen issues. We'll get into that. S23 FE leaked confirms basically everything we need to know about the device before it's even released. Big news in the CPU world. So the Dimensity the Mediatek Dimensity 9400. I believe this is the same one that they're going to put in the Samsung Galaxy Tab S10. Actually benchmarks scores better than the Apple A18 Pro. We'll jump into that. iOS 18.1, S25 and S26 news, and then a more expensive iPhone SE. I don't know if we're going to get into all of that, but here's something that caught my eye real quick. So cameras, I've been kind of disappointed in the S25 and S26 news for the day, or that's been coming out over the last few days. So there's not much going on. Look, Samsung is going to change slightly the design of the S25 series. You're going to see a more slimmed down bezel, sort of like the iPhone 16 Pro models. Essentially no bezel. Now the Ultra is going to look like the S24 Plus, just bigger. That'll be the S25 Ultra. Now here's where it gets disappointing. The cameras. So on the let me go back to the S23 Ultra. When I'm talking about cameras, I think the best cameras that they put in any of these Galaxy devices was the S23 Ultra. I remember using that camera, doing that, 100x zoom, 200 megapixel camera, was on par with the very best cameras to date, and that was a year and a half ago. Now they rolling into the S25 series here in 4, 5, 6 months. And then we got confirmed as well, rolling into the S26 series, which is another year and a half away. They're not going to change the cameras. So they changed something, and maybe I'll dig into it. But S23 Ultra, phenomenal cameras. S24 Ultra and S24 series, I have not been flattered. I have not been blown away by the camera quality on my S24 Ultra, on the S24 Plus. They're good, but they're not, I don't get blown away. The Pixel has the very best cameras. The Pixel 9 Pro XL has the very best cameras, especially the front selfie camera. I think it may be even better than the rear cameras. The video quality is freaking phenomenal. The photo quality, freaking phenomenal. The rear cameras, freaking phenomenal. It scored, so there's a DMXO mark that scores camera qualities on these cell phones. They got, I think the Pixel's at number 2. I think there's a Oppo, I don't know what the hell they're called, Find X7 or Find X8, something like that, not sold in the US, that got the very, very best camera scores. Pixel 9 Pro XL got second best camera scores. Now, they just scored the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max, and they got the third best scores. The S24 Ultra is like way down on the list. It's like number 12, I think. So that proves to you and to me, they do the testing, that it's just simply not up to par. So we learned that the S25 series coming up and S26 series, they're not going to change the sensors. So unless there's something done behind the scenes on the software side, on the processing side, after the image is taken, where they process it and sharpen it up in post-production, unless they do something there, it doesn't look like it's going to get much better. So if you're a camera freak, if you take tons of photos, if you take tons of selfies, if you do tons of videos, if you're a content creator, get a Pixel or get an iPhone is basically what it comes down to. Samsung's, a lot of people love the One UI, and I'm one of them, right? I got a Samsung right here, but got my trusty Pixel right here. I freaking love this phone. So nothing to brag about the CPU, but it does what I need it to, right? It does what I need it to. So when it was this past week when I was out taking a break, streaming break, it's been 99 out here. It's been 100 degrees out here in South Texas. I was outside doing some test photos. My S24 Plus, it got hot. It got really hot. Didn't shut down, but it got hot. My Pixel 9 Pro, cool as a cucumber. Didn't even get hot at all. So bravo to Google. I want to take my hat off to Google for fixing the overheating issue. I can honestly say I think it's non-existent anymore. It did not even get warm to the touch while my S24 Plus and S24 Ultra got hot as hell. It didn't shut down, but it got hot. So Google, congratulations. Still beat camera quality of the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max, and trust me, when we get ours in the next couple of weeks, we'll do a bunch of testing. Still waiting on mine to come in. I got one of the bigger storage variants, so they were on back order quite a bit. So bad news for Samsung users. S25, S26 series in the future, and no camera changes. So kind of a bummer there. Now, let's get into speaking of iPhone. What is this touch issue, right? So what the hell is this touch issue here? What the hell is going on? Let's see. So there were some online reports, and we're going to test ours when it gets in, right? But there's been some people online that the phone, the iPhone 16 Pro, appears to fail to register some swipes and some taps on the display. Now, Ice Universe, I might pull it up here shortly. Ice Universe, who is a well-known leaker and predominantly uses X or Twitter as their platform to leak information. He's a notorious Samsung leaker, has contacts inside Samsung. He got an iPhone for the first time, or for the first time in a long time, sort of like me, right? I don't think I've ever bought a brand new iPhone, ever. And I think I had a 3GS that I bought off somebody way back when, 10, 15 years ago. And the 8 Plus, the last one that I used, was issued by my employer. Well, Ice Universe purchased one for the first time ever too, and for testing purposes, he said. But he sure is bragging a lot about it. He actually found non-symmetrical mold around, or a non-symmetrical bezel around his display. Now he did not mention anything about any touch issues. But it looks like there are some people on Reddit that appeared to say and/or post that the iPhone 16 Pro specifically appears to fail to register some swipes and some taps, which significantly impacts the functionality. Duh. The issue is being observed on both iOS 18 and iOS 18.1. Now, this phone, the iPhone 16 Pro, so we do have one in-house. It's not mine technically, so I can't really use it. They're inside my home. The person who is using it, family member who is using it, has complained about palm rejection. The bezels are so freaking slim that if you've had or used a previous iPhone that has big, now when I say bezels, the bezel is the small black area, basically the border around your display. It is insanely thin on the 16 and 16 Pro and Pro Max that you actually have to hold it differently when you use it, right? It's so thin that your palm actually registers as a touch, which if you touch with, now these are supposed to be all 10-point touch displays, but you know how that goes. So these bezels are so thin, it's believed that the palm rejection algorithm is to blame here. So it might not be a hardware issue or a touch screen issue. It might actually be a software issue, which is good news because that means it can and should be fixed in a simple software update, right? We've seen little stuff like this, software issues. I mean, I'm trying to think of a couple things, but even companies like Samsung, companies like Google will have little minor issues come up. And that's the thing. These companies can test these phones, and they do. They'll hand them out to the employees. Say, hey, use these for a week or a weekend. Come back, tell us what you think. That's all fine and dandy. You can test 1,000 iPhone 16 Pros like 4 months ago when nobody knows they exist. But when you start selling millions upon millions of iPhones and you're shipping them out, I mean, they probably sold a few million already in the first week. Remember, Apple sells like 88 million iPhones a year. When you start pushing products out on that large of a scale, there's going to be stuff pop up that you're just not, you weren't taking account for. But good news is it's an easy fix. So I can guarantee you Apple is just like Samsung, just like Google, just like nothing, just like OnePlus. When a new device launches, they keep their eyes on the forums. They keep their eyes. Look, they're all on Twitter. They're all on Facebook. They're all on Instagram. They know what's going on. So they'll go back to the drawing board. They'll try to reproduce this issue, and they'll try to push a software update to eliminate it. And if they don't get it right the first time, then they'll push out an update to try to get it right this second time. But it appears the touchscreen issues is due to palm rejection algorithm around the edges of the screen, especially around the camera control button. Software will sometimes ignore touches around the edges for a short while after other parts of the screen have come into contact with your hand. It's just an aggressive palm rejection algorithm. Remember, these bezels are razor thin, so it is going to adjust the way you hold and use the device. Honestly, I saw a review a couple days ago where somebody was playing a game and they have to totally hold it completely. They have to relearn how to hold their iPhone and play games. If you hold it horizontally, you have to hold it differently because the bezels are so thin. You're going to make illegitimate contact with the display and push stuff you're not meaning to push. So have no fear. If that's happening to you, you just have to relearn how to use your phone, and I can almost guarantee Apple will push an update out to fix that problem. So if that happens to you, no worries. It should get fixed. Just bear with them, right? Let's see here. Speaking of iPhone, so iOS 18.1 beta. I don't know if I'm going to enroll mine in beta or not. I probably should because I enroll all my devices in beta. But it adds iOS 18.1 beta adds control center reset and new connectivity options. Let's see. Apple has also added separate control center connectivity controls for Wi-Fi and VPN connectivity. All prior versions of iOS 18, these controls were baked into an all-in-one connectivity button now that they can be added to Control Center. The new Wi-Fi and VPN options cannot be added to the lock screen or the action button. But you do get, let's see, in select U.S. states, residents can add their driver's license or state ID to the Wallet app, which is cool. Apple ID era is officially over. The transition from Apple ID to Apple account went from a rumor to an official announcement to something that has now been fully completed. Okay, so no more Apple ID. It's Apple account, I guess, whatever. iPhone 17 Pro no longer expected to feature under-display Face ID. Y'all give me a second. Hang on. All right, sorry about that. So, many of you know that I love to look at roadmaps. I love to look at future devices. I know there's some tech channels that say, "Oh, we don't do rumors over here on this channel. We only do confirmed news." Well, this channel is different. I love to look at rumors. I love to look into the future. I love to see what's coming. That's just what I love to look into. Now, all these companies have roadmaps. Google has a roadmap. In fact, probably this week we'll look into a new updated Google Pixel roadmap. We just got into Samsung cameras, kind of a disenchanted look into the future Samsung cameras. And trust me, you'll want to stay. We'll hit the Pixel roadmap this week. You're not going to want to miss that. But we've numerous times looked into the Apple roadmap, right? So you all know that there's an iPhone flip in the works, and I got called out in the comments in one of my videos. Oh, that's just rumor. No, it got the green light. Now, not saying they can't kick it down the road, right, for a future release, maybe a year or two down the road if it's not ready, or not to say that they may scrap it, but it's been given the green light. So for all intents and purposes, the iPhone flip is real. Now, we also know the iPhone 17 Air is a real thing. Now, I've also stated that they are, in the future, going to do away with the dynamic island, and it will be an under-display Face ID. Well, that apparently is going to be kicked down the road. The technology is just not there. It is there, like Xiaomi has an under-display front selfie camera. Samsung on their Fold series has an in-display selfie camera. The issue they're having, and I think the same issue Apple is having. So if you don't know, Apple was planning on putting an under-display selfie camera, or two, Face ID selfie camera under the display. So eventually Apple's going to get rid of the dynamic island. Eventually. And they were going to go completely all screen. That was in a roadmap we hit on a couple months ago. Now it looks like they're going to kick that down the road and possibly launch that, who knows, maybe for the iPhone 18, whatever, down the road. But for right now, in the past, it was planned for the iPhone 17 Pro series. Now it looks like it will still be there, the dynamic island for the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. However, the iPhone 17 Air is rumored to feature a 120 Hz Pro Motion display. So the iPhone 17 Air, and I've been called out for that too. That's just rumor. Well, it's a real deal. And in fact, a little piece of proof that proves that technology is there and that they are going to put it out is the new Apple Watch. So that motherboard that they essentially forged in the CPU and all the components that sit on top of the motherboard, they forged it into one plane. So they forged instead of stacking them on top of the motherboard, they forge it into just one plane. That's how they get them so thin. iPhone 17 Air is a real thing, and it will come to life. Now, we did get a little rumor on the display. So it's going to have a 120 Hz Pro Motion display. Ross Young of Display Supply Chain Consultants today informed Mac Rumors that the standard iPhone 17 and slimmer model, which is the iPhone 17 Air, will both feature Pro Motion displays, meaning that each device's display will be able to ramp down to 1 Hertz all the way up to 120 Hertz. I think now they go down to do they go down to 1? Let me look at this real quick. It says, I beg your pardon, the ProMotion would allow the 17 and 17 Air displays to ramp down to a more power-efficient refresh rate. The 13 Pro models can ramp down to 10 Hz, while the 14 Pro through 16 Pro can go down to 1 Hz, allowing for an always-on display that shows various lock screen elements when the device is locked. It is unclear if the iPhone 17 and 17 Air would ramp down to 10 or 1 Hz. It'll go down to 1 Hertz. Look, it's going to be a very expensive phone. It's going to go down to 1 Hertz. So that is a little more confirmation that that's still in the works, right? Let's see. So on the repair side, I'm not going to go into this too much. But on the repair side, their iFixit tore down whenever a new model comes out. Pixel, Samsung, iPhone. iFixit is pretty popular in the repair community. That's how I got a lot of my repair tools from them. They say the iPhone battery is much easier to replace. So in the past, it would be a pain in the ass to repair most stuff. iPhone, you'd have to tear that strip out, that super adhesive strip. Now, the battery is easily replaceable. It just simply has a metal casing that's over it, and you take a couple screws out. I think they're T5 Torx screws, and away you go. So thank you, Apple. I know they're making a lot of things difficult to repair, but it looks like on changing the batteries on this moving forward, if you have the iPhone 16 series, probably 3, 4, 5 years from now, it looks like the batteries will be easy to change. So that's a little good piece of news, right? Now, let's get into some cool stuff. What time am I at? All right, I got a few more minutes. So check this out. So this new CPU, Mediatek, I've been very, very impressed with what we got going on here, and I think you will too. Mediatek, who doesn't have many CPUs here in the U.S., landed a huge deal with Samsung in the past couple months, right? So Samsung struck a deal with Mediatek for supplying all the CPUs for the new Samsung Galaxy S10 series. So the S10 Plus and S10 Ultra. There's not going to be any third smaller base tablet model. It's just the S10 Plus and S10 Ultra tab. Now, Samsung struck a deal with Mediatek, and I believe this is the exact CPU they're putting in there. Now, they just benchmarked it, and it's going to be released here in, I think, within a couple of weeks. The Tab S10 series from Samsung and the S24 FE, I believe they're going to be released on the same day. They're not going to have a launch party or a stream on YouTube. I think they're just going to put a PR statement out saying, hey, they're ready to buy on Samsung.com. But these new CPUs, and Samsung had to go this route, remember, because they've been having so much issues with their own Exynos CPUs in the manufacturing process. They screwed up a whole bunch of them. And for whatever reason, they can't get the manufacturing process down just right. Now, you know who manufactures Mediatek CPUs, right? I believe TSMC does this one. So you know it's going to be packed right. You know it's going to be manufactured to the highest quality standards. This new Mediatek Dimensity 9400 that they're going to put in new Samsung, and I wish Samsung would actually use this. Look, I know they're going to go the Snapdragon route, but for God's sakes, I wish Samsung would just replace all their Exynos CPUs with Mediatek, right? If they're not going to use Qualcomm, for God's sakes, put in Mediatek. I cannot wait to get into the OnePlus 13 release next month. New Snapdragon 8 Gen 4. This is going to be a matchup for the ages. You're going to have this new Mediatek Dimensity 9400. You're going to have this new Apple A18 Pro, and you're going to have the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 4. Oh man, it's going to be a shootout. It may go down in history as I don't even know what to describe it, but these three CPUs shall battle it out. I cannot wait. I get excited for this stupid. I'm a nerd, so I get all jittery inside for this stuff. So Mediatek, and have y'all used Mediatek CPUs? I see some of y'all said y'all have used them. I think I had the OnePlus. I had the OnePlus Nord right when I created this channel. I don't maybe one of my first videos. I don't know. I had the Nord 2. It had a Mediatek that I got on AliExpress, and I think that's the only Mediatek CPU I've ever used. But I didn't have any issues with it, right? It was cool. Actually, I think there's one other. I'm missing something else, and I don't want to get hung up on it, but light usage on Mediatek. But I'm excited to try this one. So Mediatek is expected to release this new Dimensity 9400 chipset next month. It'll have the Immortalis G925 GPU. Now, it's produced by ARM, which is a Taiwanese company that claims it'll be the highest performing, most efficient GPU ever, right? So recent benchmarks confirmed this might be true, just on pure power. Set aside the efficiency, right? So the GPU of this new Mediatek Dimensity 9400 scored 134 frames per second in the GFX Aztec 1440p off-screen Vulkan benchmark, which is way higher than the 72 frames per second on the Apple A18 Pro and the 95 frames per second on last year's Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. Now, it's not really a fair test, including the 8 Gen 3. You're going to have to wait till the 8 Gen 4 comes out to really see who's the best. But that blows away Apple's GPU that's put in these new iPhones. Now, we're going to time out from this article. Do you remember when Apple, little side note, and you may want to go back and check this, but it's true because I did. Because I was thinking, you know what? In the Apple launch, when they launched this new iPhone 16 series, when they were comparing CPUs, oh, it's 18% faster and blah, 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 blah. They never compared it to the A17 or A17 Pro. And that's true. That's a fact. I went back and watched it. They would always compare it to like the A15 or the A16. You know, a 2 or 3 year old CPU. The Apple never compared numbers on this new CPU to the previous generation CPU. And that's for a reason. That's because I think it's just very minor gains, and they would look like, not that special if they're saying, oh, it's only 4% faster from previous year. No, they were looking for the bigger number. So with this GPU scoring 134 frames per second in the GFX Aztec 1440p off-screen Vulkan benchmark, outscoring the 72 frames per second on the Apple A18 Pro, blows Apple's GPU away. And then I'm going to reserve judgment on this. Again, it's not really fair. 8 Gen 3 has been out for about 10 months. So 8 Gen 4 is literally a couple weeks away. So the Aztec test is part of the GFX Bench suite designed to simulate intensive 3D game-like environments. And it pushes the graphics card and its hardware to the limits, especially with Vulkan, one of the most high-performing graphic APIs. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for this CPU. I plan on getting my hands on one of the tablets, right? The S10 Plus or the S10 Ultra, probably the Plus. I think the Ultra might have been a little too big. But we'll get this in. I'm very, very, very excited to test this thing out. So now, what else we got? Real quick, S24 FE. You know what you're getting with this. It essentially is going to be an S24 Plus, watered down specs. Now, it's not going to have the 8 Gen 3. This is going to have one of the few Exynos CPUs that actually was a good thing for Samsung. It's actually one of the few that actually performed pretty well. So if you go look at, the S24 series, some of them were Snapdragon, some of them were Exynos. But if you jump on YouTube and you look at the Exynos review, they're not as fast or as powerful as the Snapdragon variants, but they hang in there. They don't get blown away. So, and I've heard they don't overheat and they don't, drop too many frame rates or anything like that. So, a rather good CPU for Samsung. So this S24 FE is going to release globally with this Exynos 2400 chipset. So if you're going to grab one, it's going to have this Exynos chipset. The marketing video confirms it'll have a larger battery than the last year's S23 FE. Video also confirms the device's design, features, specs, and colors. And look, I'm not going to play the video because it looks exactly like an S24 Plus, just a little cheaper. But here's my thing. I wouldn't even buy this, and this is why I don't know why Samsung puts out the FE. Just go buy a used S24 Plus and thank me later, because you can find a good. I'm not talking about a janky one with scratches and dents. Grab a used S24 Plus over a brand new S24 FE and thank me later. Better specs, better performing, better cameras, better everything. And you should be able to get a used S24 FE. Excuse me. You should be able to get a used S24 Plus in really good condition, cheaper than a brand new S24 FE. That's my opinion. So it's one of the reasons why I don't really pay the FE much attention, the phone, right? Just because I can go grab a used flagship for cheaper than what this is for, sold for brand new. So it is what it is. And last but not least, check this out. So we all know the iPhone SE, long overdue for an update, and looks like what we're about to get. So the 4th generation of Apple's budget-friendly iPhone could feature a modern design and come with support for Apple Intelligence. So here's what you get. You are going to get a watered-down iPhone. Now, if it's going to run Apple Intelligence, it's going to come with 8 gigs of RAM. And they've always traditionally put the flagship CPU in the SE model, cheaper model. So it's going to have the A18 or A18 Pro CPU. It's going to have 8 gigs of RAM. Now, it's going to be smaller, although it's going to look like an iPhone. I don't know. Is it going to have the dynamic island? No more home button. So it's not going to be that type of SE. However, now, is this going to have... They are going to raise the price. So in this article, now, since they're going to kind of put a new update they can't really say an SE model that looks like the old one with the home button and the cheaper screen. It's going to have a newer bright screen, again, new CPU, more RAM. So the price is going to go up, right? So they're saying here that the rumored 4th generation iPhone SE could cost $499 in the US. That's a $70 increase over the current $429 iPhone SE3 model that was released in 2022. So it's long overdue. So we don't know when this is going to be released, although it looks like it should be pretty soon. Now, I'm not going to say next month or anything, but probably by the end of the year, right around the New Year's. I would guess maybe right after the new year, something like that. So they want to sell as many iPhone 16 models as possible, and we may get into that later this week. The sales numbers for iPhone 16 series have not been that great for Apple. For anybody else, they'd be record-breaking, but for Apple, not as good. But we'll get into that later. I got to run. But just keep in mind, if you're looking for something that's maybe smaller, a little cheaper, but still has decent specs, just know that Apple is going to release the iPhone SE for 2024, possibly 2025, rather soon. Again, I don't know when, we don't know when, but maybe 2, 3, 4 months, right around the corner. So just keep that in mind. But I got to run. I got to go pick up a custom PC that is ready. And it should be. I agree with you. Before we get out of here, I agree. It's probably going to be the best. It's probably going to be a pretty good damn phone for $499. It's going to have the really good CPU, the RAM, the Apple Intelligence. It's going to have a nice big display, no more home button, so it's going to look modernized. It'll be a good buy. I think if somebody wants a good, cheaper iPhone, that'll be the one to get. And it's not going to be teeny tiny. I think it's going to have like a 6.1 or maybe just a 6.0 screen, right? Which is still rather big, but it'll be the same size as the current iPhone SE3. They're just going to widen out the display in those dimensions, like super slim bezels. So we'll keep an eye on that, keep everybody updated. I really thank everybody for stopping by again. I do apologize taking a week off again. I had a lot on my mind, and again, I was just burned out, honestly. So but I'm feeling good now. It's time to get back into the swing of things. So we will come back tomorrow, and we will talk more tech news and see what's in the headlines and discuss it. So I really want to thank everybody. You have a great afternoon, and as always, I will see you tomorrow for sure, this time. Peace, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good afternoon, and please be safe.